I'm here at the Pool of Bethesda, or at least the excavations of the Pool of Bethesda.
Hidden in the ancient heart of Jerusalem, just beyond the towering stone walls that have stood for millennia, lies a place where faith, history, and mystery collide. A place that for centuries was doubted, dismissed, and even mocked until archaeologists dug deep enough to prove it was real all along. This is the Pool of Bethesda.
Rise. Take up thy bed and walk.
Mentioned only briefly in the Gospel of John, this site has been shrouded in debate for centuries. Was it just a public bath, a place for ritual cleansing before visiting the temple, or was it, as the Gospel claims, the stage for one of the most astonishing miracles of Jesus? For generations, skeptics argued it was nothing more than legend, a metaphor, a piece of spiritual storytelling invented by early Christians. The 5 porches described in John 5, they said those were just poetic imagery, meant to symbolize the 5 books of Moses. No historian outside the Bible ever mentioned such a place. No ancient record confirmed its existence. So critics confidently declared Bethesda never existed, but they were wrong. Decades of careful excavations have now brought Bethesda out of the realm of myth and into the light of history, and what they found is nothing short of breathtaking. These discoveries don't just validate John's Gospel, they reveal a site so precisely described, so intricately designed, that even the most hardened skeptic is left with difficult questions. Before we dive into the astonishing details, and trust me, what we're about to uncover will challenge how you see both history and faith, take a moment to subscribe. Because here, we bring you the discoveries that keep proving, again and again, that the Bible knew what it was talking about all along. John chapter 5 takes us into one of the most fascinating moments in the New Testament, a moment that has stirred the faith of believers and frustrated skeptics for over 2,000 years. The Gospel tells of a man who had been paralyzed for 38 long years, lying near the Pool of Bethesda, waiting for a chance to be healed. According to some ancient translations, an angel would descend and stir the waters, and whoever stepped in first after the waters moved would be miraculously healed. But here's where it gets mysterious. The earliest manuscripts of John don't mention the angel. They only tell us the waters were stirred, leaving one burning question: what caused them to move? And more importantly, why did Jesus choose this very pool out of all the places in Jerusalem to reveal his power? Picture the scene. Jerusalem is buzzing with pilgrims visiting the city for one of the great Jewish feasts. Thousands are making their way to the temple, but before they can enter, they must undergo ritual purification. This wasn't symbolic, it was required by the law. They had to immerse themselves in living water, meaning water that flowed naturally from a spring rain or stream. Bethesda was the perfect place for this. Archaeologists have uncovered not one, but 2 enormous pools, sitting side by side, separated by a colonnade, just as John described with his mention of 5 porches. Each pool was massive together. They spanned an area about the size of a modern soccer field. Wide steps led down into the water so that crowds of worshippers could enter, cleanse themselves, and ascend to the temple. The northern pool was fed by fresh rainwater, while the southern pool often Saturdays stagnant. And here's the incredible part: a clever stone channel connected the two. When opened, it allowed the fresh water from the northern pool to rush into the southern one, creating the dramatic, stirring effect, the bubbling that pilgrims took as a sign from heaven. Think about that. For centuries, critics scoffed at John's account as myth, and yet archaeologists have found not only the pools, but the steps, the channel, and the landings where the sick and hopeful would have waited. But as remarkable as the archaeology is, the real miracle wasn't the water. Imagine the southern pool on a feast day. The steps are lined with people, the lame, the blind, the sick, all waiting, all watching the water, hoping they might be the first to step in when it moved. Hope and desperation fill the air. And then Jesus walks in. He doesn't wait for the water to stir. He doesn't rely on ritual or tradition. He sees one man, paralyzed for nearly 4 decades, and asks a question that cuts through years of pain and disappointment: do you want to be made well? The man answers honestly he has no one to help him, no way to get into the water in time, And then, with divine authority, Jesus speaks the words that changed everything. And instantly, not gradually, not eventually, but instantly the man is healed. He stands. He walks. His suffering is over. This was more than a physical healing. It was a revelation. Jesus was showing that he himself is the living water greater than the ritual baths, greater than the temple itself. The stagnant water that needed refreshing pointed to him, the one who makes all things new. But this miracle didn't just heal one man. It sparked controversy. It happened on the Sabbath, and that mattered. Religious leaders were outraged. They accused the man of breaking the law for carrying his mat. They missed the point entirely. A man who had been crippled for 38 years was walking, and they were worried about rules. Jesus healed on the Sabbath not just to shock the religious leaders, and not to stir up controversy for the sake of it. No, he did it to reveal something much deeper, to teach us something we still struggle to understand today. The Sabbath was never meant to be a heavy chain, a list of do-nots hanging over our heads. It was meant to be a gift, a day for restoration, a day for renewal, a day for freedom. And when we stand at the Pool of Bethesda, whether physically in Jerusalem or in the quiet of our own hearts, we can feel that lesson echo through the centuries. Bethesda isn't just a set of ancient ruins, it's a mirror, a living parable. Every one of us has a Bethesda, that place inside where we wait and wait, hoping for life to change, hoping for something outside of us to fix what's broken. Maybe you've been waiting for a diagnosis to come back clean, waiting for a door to open, waiting for someone to notice your pain, to carry you to the water, to finally give you a chance. That's where the man in John 5 was, 38 years of waiting, 38 years of hoping someone else would help him, and then Jesus shows up. He doesn't wait for the water to stir, he doesn't wait for the right moment, he just looks at him and asks the question that cuts through centuries. Do you want to be made well? It sounds so simple, but that question is everything. And then comes the command, not just to the man at Bethesda, but to us. Rise, step out of the excuses. Step out of the waiting, step out of the despair, and walk. The stagnant waters of fear, sin, and unbelief are no match for the rushing, living stream of His grace. The grave itself has lost its grip. As Paul writes, "For as in Adam all die, even so in Christ shall all be made alive." And here's what's incredible, thanks to archaeology, we don't just read about Bethesda, we can stand on its very stones. We can see the steps where the lame won Saturday, the channel where the waters once ran, the porches where broken men and women waited for hope. For centuries, critics said John's gospel was just symbolic, that Bethesda was a metaphor, but the stones of Jerusalem have spoken. And they tell the same story John told. The Bible was right all along. Bethesda reminds us that faith and history are not enemies. They walk side by side, one confirms the other. And the miracle that happened there is not just an event found seen in time. It's a call that still echoes today, and if your answer is yes, then hear His voice saying what He said 2,000 years ago. Rise, take up your bed, and walk, because Bethesda isn't just a place you visit, it's a place you leave, whole, free, alive.